Welcome, fantabulous souls, to Psychically Speaking. I'm your host, Psychic Lisa Ann, and I'm thrilled to have you here. In this podcast, we'll delve into everything related to body, mind, and spirit. As a professional psychic medium and healer with over 28 years of experience, I'm excited to share my knowledge and my experiences with you. Together, we'll embark on a transformative journey of sharing, learning, and personal growth. Whether you're just starting on your spiritual path, consider yourself an old soul, an empath, or a seasoned professional, Psychically Speaking has something special just for you. So join me as we explore the wonders of life, heal ourselves, expand our knowledge, and grow together. Let's dive right in. Today we're talking about how to get inspired when you're feeling the uninspired blues. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I do not wake up every single day in a perfectly happy mood. Sometimes it's been a very rough night of no sleep, or there's things that I'm worried about, or a lot of times, life gets in the way and you're dealing with a lot of things that can be very stressful, or there's family or friends that you're worried about. So there can be a million different reasons why sometimes you just wake up and you're just not feeling that flow of inspiration where you're just loving life and everything is perfect. And for those of you who follow this podcast, you know that I talk a lot about energy. And it's really interesting because a lot of times when you're dealing with people who are just in very stressful situations, maybe they're dealing with loved ones who have things going on, or their job, or their own personal health. A lot of times people will say, well, I can't really focus on myself right now because I have all these responsibilities, or I have these things that I'm juggling and these stresses in my life. But honestly, that is the time where you want to make sure that you are focusing on yourself. That is the exact time when you want to make sure you're staying in that place of feeling inspired, of feeling hopeful. Because when you're in a place of feeling inspired and when you're in a place of hope, that is when your energy is at the highest vibrational level. And I want you to think about this for a moment, because I want you to take a moment to think about times in your life, and maybe you might be going through them right now, where you were dealing with very stressful situations and dealing or caring for people around you. And I want you to take a step back and I want you to think about how can you be the most helpful to those people around you when you are at your highest energy level, when your vibration is high and you have so much extra energy to lend them or to use to help them? Or do you think it's easier when you're just completely uninspired and your energy is just at an all-time low, right? Obviously, the answer is going to be you want your energy, your vibration to be at the highest possible level. So we live in the real world, and sometimes it can be very challenging. And I think the first thing is that I want you to walk away from this podcast today knowing that it is okay to not be happy and thankful and feeling like you're filled with gratitude each and every day. If you are going through something and you're not feeling these warm and fuzzy emotions, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And it certainly doesn't mean that you're not spiritual, or you're not an old soul, or you're not a light worker, whatever title you want to call it. It just simply means that you are a human being going through a challenging time. So the first thing that I really want to address is I want you to not be hard on yourself. I want you to acknowledge and give yourself permission to be human and know that it's okay to sometimes just be feeling uninspired. Okay? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to give you 5 quick ideas of things that you can do when you're feeling uninspired to kind of just shift that energy. Now, obviously, there's going to be times when we're just dealing with such serious stuff that this is not meant to fix those problems, okay? This is just meant to give you those little moments of hope, of peace, those little moments where you can reboot your energy so that you have more to give the people around you during those times of challenges, all right? So the first thing, and what I tried to do is I tried to make all of these things that you could do very easily, that don't really take up a lot of time, certainly don't cost money. They're all things that you can just do. And I wanted to pick things that also are very simple to do, right? Because I have been in those times where I am dealing with so many traumas at one time that there's just not an extra 5 minutes in a day, right? So I wanted to make these things simple and easy. Some of them will require a little bit more time, but I guarantee you that when we're done with this top 5, there's going to be one that no matter what you're going through, you will be able to pick to help get you inspired, put you in a place of hope, and lift that energy. So the first one is one that you can really do right now. You don't have to wait until you're not feeling inspired, right? So my first one is to keep an ideas book, right? This can be a file on your computer. This can be a place in your phone, an album in your phone, or this can be a physical journal that you keep. But keeping an ideas book. And it is such a great thing to do because as you start coming across things, maybe it's, on social media, you see things that inspire you, or maybe you're driving down the road and you're like, one day I want to stop and go in that restaurant, or I want to go visit this place, or whatever it is. So the ideas book is going to contain things that you want to do, places that you would like to visit, just things that will really excite you. Maybe things that you want to try. Maybe there's a certain type of food that you want to try, or maybe there's some kind of new skill that you want to learn. So you put it all in the ideas book. And this is something that you can do ahead of time so that then when you're feeling uninspired, you can grab that book, flip through, and challenge yourself to do one of those things. Or this is something that you could put together in those moments when you are feeling uninspired, to just kind of look through different things and come up with some ideas to go ahead and put in that ideas book. I remember when Kyle and I first moved in together, one of the things that we did is every week we would go food shopping and we would pick a food that neither one of us had ever eaten before. And we would take turns. One week, Kyle would pick something and he would incorporate that into a meal. And then the next week, I would pick something and I would incorporate it into a meal. And it was so much fun to just try new things. And it made just cooking so much fun. And it really was a very inspirational thing. So it can be the simplest thing that you add into your everyday life. Number 2, and this is really one of my favorites, do an easy, and the key word here is easy, creative task or project, okay? What do I mean by that? I remember one time we were waiting for work to be done with something. I honestly don't even remember what shop it was. So everything was kind of at a standstill. And I started doing these little dot paintings that they do on rocks. And it was so much fun. And it literally cost me nothing. I grabbed some rocks from outside. I grabbed paints that I had in the house. And I used little toothpicks. And I just YouTubed this dot painting on rocks video. So there's so many fun things that you could do. Maybe it's an adult coloring book that you have laying around, or maybe it's just, grabbing a box of crayons and allowing yourself to be a kid and just drawing, right? But the key is you want it to be something easy and creative, right? You don't want to go, oh, I think I'm going to, try to paint this wall mural today and I've never painted a thing in my life, right? You don't want it to be something that's going to add stress. You want it to be something that's simple and easy, that you could really just kind of get lost in the creative process of it. And I love this. This is one of my little, I'll let you know, one of my secrets. When I work with clients who are very analytical, right? And they're having those creative blocks and they're just stuck with something, I always challenge them to go and do something creative. And one of the things I always tell them to do is to head over to Hobby Lobby or one of the little craft places and grab one of those paint by numbers, right? And the reason why I do that is because people that are very analytical, when you can get them to do something that's creative, they're using that whole other part of their brain, right? They're shutting down that analytical side. They're tapping into that creativity and that intuitive. Now, if there's someone who's super analytical that has a really hard time letting go of the control, I tell them to go by the paint and not by numbers, but I tell them they're not allowed to paint by the number. They have to close their eyes, they have to pick a color paint, and that's the paint they have to paint with. And then they close their eyes, and then they pick another color, and then they paint with that color. And it's so funny because as I'm saying it, to watch the expression on their faces, like, what do you mean I can't paint by the number? Like, I can't let go of the control. So it's just a fun, simple thing. It's so creative and it's so powerful. And I'm telling you, it will really, really help to get you inspired. The third thing is find somewhere new to explore. And again, this doesn't have to be like, oh, let me buy a first class ticket to, Aruba. This can be, I always pass this little park on my way to work. Maybe I should stop and explore that. Or go walk around a town that you haven't been to before. There's something really powerful about changing the environment and just giving yourself that, 5 minutes, like just spend 5 minutes somewhere new. And I'm telling you, you're going to feel such a shift in your energy. Speaking of exploring somewhere new, my fourth thing is spending time in nature. So whether it's walking in the woods, whether it's sitting by a lake, whether it's working with flowers, but just doing something with nature, there's something very powerful about just disconnecting from all the noise and just spending that time in nature. It's so re-energizing for your soul that it's amazing. And my fifth one is the one I know everybody hates because I say it all the time. Meditate, meditate, meditate. When you are in a state of calm and quiet and peacefulness, when you're in that state of meditation, you can go and be wherever you want. When you're in meditation in that moment, it doesn't matter what is going on in your real everyday life. You can take 5 minutes or 50 minutes to just close your eyes, slow down your breathing, and allow your imagination to run wild and see and imagine yourself wherever you want to be. A place of peace, a place of fun, a place of relaxation. And I guarantee you it will help to get you inspired and lift that vibration. So those 5 quick things to help you get inspired, regardless of what is going on in your life. Keeping that ideas book, things to do, places to visit, things to try. Maybe even adding in your ideas book favorite poems or favorite quotes that you've listened to or that you've heard in the past. 2, do something that's easy and creative. 3, find a new location to explore. 4, spend time in nature. And 5, meditate, meditate, meditate. Now I have a little special something. You guys have been so awesome since I brought this podcast back, which I was so excited to do. And I have been getting such wonderful messages and emails and phone calls, and I really can't tell you guys how much I appreciate that. So as a thank you, I wanted to do something a little extra special with this podcast. And I want to send the first 3 people that email me after listening to this podcast, you're just going to send an email to contact@spiritquestnc as in North Carolina. So it's contact@spiritquestnc.com. And you're just going to put love the podcast in the subject line. And in the email, you're going to send me your address, and I am going to send the first 3 people a signed copy of my Get Inspired book of quotes. Okay? So the first 3 people that email me, love the podcast, in the body of the email, you're just going to make sure you include your physical mailing address, and I'm going to mail you a physical copy. This is not an e-download. This is a physical copy of my Get Inspired book of quotes for you. So thank you guys for listening. I just keep the comments coming in because it really helps me to see what we're going to be talking about next. And thank you all so much for those of you who have been sharing the podcast, referring friends to the podcast, rating the podcast. That all really, really means a lot. So a sincere, grateful thank you. And I just hope you all know how much I appreciate you. Thank you once again for joining me on this incredible journey. If you found this podcast enjoyable, I kindly ask you to share it with a friend and make sure to hit that subscribe button. To discover more about joining my free weekly live happy hour, explore my work, or visit my Body, Mind, Spirit spa and gift shop in the enchanting historic downtown Southern Pines, North Carolina, simply head over to spiritquestnc.com. And always remember, life isn't always rainbows and butterflies, but every single day, you have the power to choose to be fantabulous. Embrace that power and let your inner light shine bright. Until we meet again, stay empowered and keep embracing the magic of life.